Hello, hello. Welcome to this week's Profit Maximizer Moment. My name is Wayne Belisle. I'm a CPA in El Paso. Been CPA for a long time. Have my business since 1991. Specialize in working with small businesses to help them make more money and keep more of it from the IRS, all legally. Like I say, I like my clients, don't want to share a jail cell with them. Today we're going to say, okay, today we're going to discuss a new product and how to make sure it sells, or test that it sells in case it doesn't sell, but how to not spend a shootload of money without it. I've worked with a lot of businesses over the last 40 plus years. Um, and I've done it myself where I've come up with a new product or service that we were 100% sure was going to sell, but it didn't. So what happened? All right. Sometimes it looked like it would make sense on paper, and sometimes it was the package that the owner put together and how they marketed it and who they marketed it to. Sometimes it was sometimes it was, something that had worked before and you were doing version 2, but for whatever reason, it's just not selling quite as well, or an upsell. The first sale goes fine, but I can never get them to buy the next level up. All right. So what are we talking about? Why does this keep happening? Well, a couple of reasons. One, we get excited about our new ideas as business owners. We do. And we see it through, we see all the possibilities rather than why it won't work. All right. Um, that's the time to slow down. All right. See, building it and moving forward feels like progress, but truthfully, test it. Testing it feels slow. Besides, we're confident it's going to work. I mean, we don't have to test it. But then you start thinking, another thing that happens is, like, I've spent so much time and put so much money into this that it's hard to walk away. It feels like a waste, or I'm skipping an opportunity that I could take. And the other thing is your friends, it's what's called confirmation bias. You're asking your friends and they think it's a good idea too, but you're not asking people who have tried this or looked and see why nobody else is doing it, or if they're doing it, how they're doing it, and will your idea be different enough to get attention? If it's a crowded market, why would they buy from you? That's all. I mean, that's great, because it sounds like when your friends are saying it, that it's market validation, but it really isn't. It's just your friends telling you, and family. And then I've been guilty of this one. The old baseball Field of Dreams. If you've never seen a movie, a great baseball movie, and one of the things it said is, if you a voice keeps coming out saying, if you build it, they will come. And we often do that in marketing. It's the if you build it, they will come marketing. Yeah, it's great. The problem is, if nobody knows you exist, it's like winking at a pretty girl in a dark room. She didn't see it. It didn't happen. So it kind of, it's a great line from the movie, but build it and they will come is a bad business model. So it isn't. How do you fix that? Well, it's not give up. It's not caution. It's do things in the right order with a plan, and ask the demand questions first. Is there a demand for this product the way I'm going to do it, or service first? Then build second. All right. The key line is, excitement about the idea is not the same as demand for the product. So remember that. Excitement about the idea is not the same as demand for the product. You got to learn to tell the difference. And I've been guilty of it. I'm telling you now. I mean, one of the reasons I hire a coach to run these ideas, because we're all entrepreneurs. We get the shiny bright object, or squirrel syndrome. Squirrel. There's another new idea, and I run ideas past them, and I'd say 8 out of 10 times it's going, what are you thinking? Don't you have enough work to do? Why don't you make the business you have more profitable? And if it's not fun, figure out a way to make it fun, or at least where it's not, like being in hell. So how do you do this? Well, there's 3 questions you should ask yourself before you start. All right. Um, do, who is this for specifically? And have I talked to them? Do I know this customer? All right. Not small businesses. I've been guilty of this one. Who's my client base? Small businesses. Yeah, because I can help all of them. I've had enough experience where it's rare now that anybody comes in with a business that I haven't seen. All right. It's very, very rare. Something else that would be better is like service based business owners doing 500,000 to 2 million who are launching new offerings next quarter. Have you talked to, now that you've identified that, do you know 5 or 10 people that you can talk to about the problem? Not a survey. Don't do a survey, not a Facebook poll. an actual face-to-face conversation, or at least on Zoom or a call or something. And if you haven't, then stop. Don't build, because that's the first move. Now, what is it you're going to do next? What are they already doing to solve the problem? Okay, so that's always something I try to do. Is it a need? Okay, first of all, is it something that is it a problem they actually have or have solved? All right, so you're going to ask them, what have they done and how much are they paying for it? Okay, if nobody's solving their problem right now, that's usually a bad sign, not a good one. It usually means the problem isn't painful enough for people to spend money on. Because truthfully, yeah, you got some products like when Apple came out with their computer, way back in the 70s and the iPhone and everything. But even then, there was other computers, there was other phones, so cell phones. They were improving on something. So the first people that did it actually struggled because it was so new. There hadn't been a market for it yet. So again, it, if people are solving it, but but with a mess of workarounds, that's where you want the opportunity. They're having a problem that they're getting a solution. Either they're creating one or they're getting it from somebody who's not doing a good job fixing it, and they're creating just noticed I didn't finish my last name. Swain J. Belisle. Sorry. I get lazy sometimes. I'm in a hurry. Got a lot going on this week. I mean, that's where your opportunity is, though. The problem is not being solved correctly. All right. You're not creating demand, you're organizing it. Now the demand is there, you're just filling it better. And sometimes it's like you're asking somebody, and it, you ask them a question. It's along the lines of, and I've done this before. If I had a magic wand and I could wave it, what would that look like for you to solve your problem? And then the next question is, are they willing to pay for it? You know, Describe the product in one sentence, name the price, and see whether they reach for their calendar or book a call, or whether they say interesting and change the subject. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it, especially if I don't have the product completely fixed, like if I'm just working on what the problem they're having, then it's like I would ask the question a little bit differently. If you know what the problem is and you're already far enough along, then that's a good demand question to see what they're willing to pay. If you're still working the idea out in your head and they've identified a problem, it's like, well, if I could solve that problem for you, or if somebody else were to solve that problem for you, what would you be willing to pay for that? That's another question that's similar to the one I said. All right. So remember, the best marketing research isn't a survey, it's asking for money and seeing what happens. All right. Seeing, or in my case, what would you be willing to pay to get rid of this problem that's bothering you? So, of course, you have to have a problem. You have to kind of agitate the problem a little bit to say, what's this doing to you? How is it affecting you? If you could solve the problem, if you could wave a magic wand and solve this problem, what would your business look like? And then, okay, if I could bring you a solution to that problem, what would you be willing to pay for it? Tell them the truth. I'm trying to decide whether to launch this product or not, and whether I'm going to spend the time and money to get it going. Your customers, my experience has been, all of them would, if you catch them at a good time. I always ask, is this a good time? Can I have 5 minutes of your time? If it's not a good time, they'll tell you. Well, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, they'll give it time because they trust you, like you, know you, hopefully, if you've done a good job. All right. So what we're talking about is how to test demand cheaply without spending a lot of time and money on a new product. So first, sell before you build. Create a landing page, name the price, try to pre-sell it. I've done that. We're doing a coaching program right now where I just kind of took a price, called some people up and signed a dozen people. This is kind of my test that I'm doing now. Now that we got this in place and I have a better feel for what I'm doing, I'm actually doing this right now. I'm going to spend some money to put a landing page together, to put all the back room stuff together, to hire somebody to help me with that. I've already done that. Okay. So, if 10 people buy, you have a business. If 0 people buy, you have a business, or you have a product that's worth it. If 0 people buy, you just saved yourself 6 months worth of time designing it and getting it together, and probably a lot of money. All right. Wait list first. If you're not ready to charge, get a wait list with a real commitment. Email plus a deposit or a scheduled call, not just an email. So it's basically a wait list with a deposit. That's one way to do. Sell version 0. Deliver a manual, hands-on, ugly version of the product to your first 5 customers before you build out the polished version, and tell them that's what it is. I'm a strong believer in transparency. And you'll learn more from these 5 conversations than in 6 months of speculation and sitting around and guessing. Because they'll tell you, yeah, that's pretty cool, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look professional, all right? The point of all this is to reduce the cost of being wrong. The market doesn't want it. You want to find out for $500, not $50,000. That's what we're after. And really, it's not hard. Ask people, ask customers, or ask potential customers. So the one thing that usually stops people pricing it too low out of fear. That's one thing. That's why I kind of like the question, like, get the problem out there, agitate the problem a little bit. What's it, what, and don't make it obvious you're agitating. It's like, what is this cause? What problem is this causing you? How is, what would be better if you didn't do this? If I had a magic wand, what would your business look like without this problem? You're kind of agitating it, but also leading them to a solution. Okay. Um, so, and then asking them, if I could solve that problem, what would you be willing to pay for it? I'm doing some market research. Let me know. And they're going to lowball it a little bit. Some people that really know you and really do have a problem will tell you what it's worth to you. So, because we're afraid nobody's going to buy it, we tend to launch too cheaply. I've done that and done that and done that. Now I don't do that because it took me a long time. A little thick-headed sometimes. I need a 2x4 across the side of the head sometimes. So when you launch a product at a price that they think is right, that it'd be easy for people to say yes to, what you're doing is leaving money on the road. And also what you're doing is, if the price isn't, like, you're given a bunch of, like us, we're given a bunch of information. If I price it too low, people think, it isn't worth, must be worth what he's saying. So why? If I price it high enough, people are like, okay. Plus you get a better buy-in. They're going to pay more attention. If your 5 real customers won't pay the real price, they're customers of yours, they're not willing to pay the price that you're talking about, that you need to be profitable, that's a sign. That's not a sign to lower the price. It's a sign that the value isn't clear yet. Fix that. You're not, remember, every transaction is a trade of money for value. If you can't get them to say yes, you haven't got the value high enough to justify your price, or you're not communicating it, which is more likely than my mistake. You're not communicating the value enough. Okay. So launching at a low price to reduce risk almost always increases your risk. Seriously, you're not lowering the barrier. You're broadcasting that the work isn't worth much. I've been guilty of that. Honest to God, I have. And I've learned to charge more, I get better. All right. So to recap, new products don't fail because they're bad products. They fail because the demand work didn't happen before the build work. Figure out if there's a demand. The owners who launch consistently profitable products aren't smarter. They just do the steps in the right order. You don't need more ideas. You need better sequencing. Find the demand. I make sure it's there, then develop the product. Okay. If you've got a new product or service in the works and you want to talk through whether the demand is really there, that's the kind of conversation I love having. All right. Schedule one of my profit clarity calls. It'll bring you straight to my calendar. 30-minute talk. No pitch. We're just going to talk. If I feel like I can help you, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you how I'm going to help you. But it's up to you. All right. So we'll see what it is. So go to Wayne Belisle. Unfortunately, I didn't put my name in there. I meant to, so you got to copy it. Belisle, B as in boy, ELISLE.com/clarity. Hey, until next time, this is Wayne Belisle saying, let's make this our most profitable year ever. Have a great weekend. And, hopefully, God bless, not just hopefully, God bless, and see you in church, hopefully. Thank you. It's great talking to you. Thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. I try to make sure I give you a lot of good information.